Being the face of the brand without the control leaves you with not a lot of great options. You have several choices and none of them are cool or fun for you. The options you have when a client faces you with, why are these jeans not the quality they used to be? Or why is the heat so hot in here? You toe the company line and smile and you're like, we're working on it. Or with the jeans, gaslighting them, because we all know the jeans got worse.
Matt, I want to ask you about ownership in retail. It sounds like store teams are held accountable for multiple things: customer experience, sales, store cleanliness, brand trust, how shoppers feel when they're walking out the door, loyalty. But many of the conditions that shape those outcomes, the product, the store layout, labor, the budget that you are dealt, are decided somewhere else. So you have all of this responsibility, maybe accountability, but you don't necessarily have control over the things. So I want to unpack with you today this question: where are we asking stores to take responsibility without giving them control?
I mean, I think there's a lot of areas. There is just the boring, unsexy, and I've talked about this so many times because I'm passionate about it. But facilities issues and maintenance issues. You're relying on the company to send vendors and hire quality vendors that are actually going to do the right thing, and they're going to, they obviously quote parts, and you're hoping, most companies go for the cheapest option, not the best investment option. HVAC, so that's another one, like heating and air conditioning, no control. If clients are upset about heat or cold, it's out of your control. Same thing with product quality. You as a retail manager, I think a lot of us want to work somewhere where we believe in the product, but people, again, cheapen things over time. They lessen the quality or discontinue things people like. And so that's another area where you are the face of the brand, but can do nothing about it. And I'm sure you're going to ask me this, but I feel I need to say this right up front. Being the face of the brand without the control leaves you with not a lot of great options. They're you have several choices and none of them are cool or fun for you. And what I mean by that is what your response is, right? Because I actually had a heating issue or cooling issue, I should say, at a brand. And I really believed in that brand, love that brand. Still to this day, have a lot of positive things to say about it. But the air conditioning issues were so long and so just aggravating that we went from, as a team, being we're working on it, the company cares, but when clients asked, to, yeah, you should probably call corporate. You should probably complain online because they're not doing anything. And that switch was not overnight. It was when we all collectively stopped believing that the company was going to do what they needed to do. Right. And I'm saying that because the options you have when a client faces you with, why are these jeans not the quality they used to be? Or why is the heat so hot in here when I'm, buying my products, whatever, is you toe the company line and smile and you're like, we're working on it. Or with the jeans, gaslighting them, because we all know the jeans got worse, and being like, so we've chosen to go with a higher percentage of Elastin because we got the feedback that clients like a little bit more stretch in their denim and blah, blah, blah. And that's the line. Or there are the people who are employees who are just as disappointed in the change. And they're like, yeah, quality's just not, we don't make them like we used to, kind of thing. But there's no good answer to any of that because you can't control it. And then, not to keep rambling, because I'm sure you're 72 follow-up questions. But this is why I like working at a place, if I can, where something is made or controlled more readily in store, like a Starbucks, right? I can remake your latte 800 times. I'm not relying on someone in corporate making your latte. It's me or my team. That gives us a better sense of like, how do we fix this issue? Or I'm giving you so many more things. But or working somewhere like Williams Sonoma where doing the right thing is the most important like brand philosophy. So I didn't make your KitchenAid. Yes, there's a return policy, but also in this moment, you know what, ma'am? You're right. This KitchenAid broke too fast. Yes, there's a warranty. Theoretically, you're supposed to go through KitchenAid to get this fixed. But you know what? Right here in this moment, between me as a human, you as a human, I recognize that this is wrong, and I'm going to let you do a return and give you a new KitchenAid because it's the right thing to do. And Williams Sonoma is not going to be upset about that. So that's the only way, that's the only backdoor option you can give. Because you can't say the right thing, but if you give me option to do the right thing, we can get around some of these issues.
That is so interesting because part of what I was wondering was, look, like how much control and responsibility how much more can we put on store teams, right? And we're not going to have you sewing jeans on your floor. So, where are we talking about in terms of balance? And the Williams Sonoma example is so interesting because it's not like you're making the products, or that Williams Sonoma is even making the products, but you're standing behind them. So you don't have the control to fix them, but you can fix the situation for the client, for the customer. That's really interesting. Okay, talk to me about the HVAC one. What does it sound like? What does it look like when customers come in and it's not working?
Well, if it's new, like if it's a new issue, right?
Hmm.
If you're a good leader, I would say that this is key, is that you tell your team that it's not acceptable to vent your frustration to the clients.
Hmm.
Like, we're going to put on a brave face. This will get fixed. But for today, we're going to be a little bit uncomfortable. And, tell clients, like, make a joke. Welcome to the Amazon. Um, you know,
Right.
you didn't know you were getting a free sauna with your shopping experience. Like, keep it lighthearted and let the client know that you are making the best of it so that we can keep the focus on client service. We don't want to enter a situation where we are mutually bashing the company that we work for. It's even if the client doesn't mind, it's not a cute look. And it doesn't inspire the client or the customer to believe in the brand, right? In the long term. They might be in there to buy their jeans, but they're going to remember now, oh my God, I went in there last time and they were all bitching about the heat. Like, so in the beginning, it's brave face territory. And it's you as a leader, again, doing that thing where you're like convincing your team that your brand will do the right thing.
Hmm.
And it's, I mean, honestly, I'd say, I mean, it's hard to say which comes first, but for me, it's probably my team loses faith before I do, because when I work somewhere, it's not that I'm like Pollyanna about anything, but I want to believe that if the company knows that we are uncomfortable, that they will fix the issue. And so in that specific situation, I was much more like, no, more techs are coming today. We've looped in a higher level of field leadership. And after a while, though, so many days, your employees start to look at you like, okay, Matt, now you're delusional. Like, so there comes that tipping point.
Yeah, there's a term in, I think it's in organizational psychology, but I think it's called learned helplessness. And
Hmm.
it's basically like exactly that. When you keep either being ignored or being told that something is being done, but it's not, what you learn from that is that I should stop expecting anything to be done.
Hmm.
Has it ever, has it ever lost you sales?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Actually, it's funny. In three places I've worked, Air conditioning not working has lost me money. And in one of them in particular, because of the type of product we were selling, it lost me product.
Oh, how so? What was it? Something went bad?
So not went bad, but how do I say this without saying the company? Because it's going to be obvious. But when you have certain bath products um, that activate with water, put them in a really hot, humid environment, and they're going to start activating without
Mhm.
being in water. And then you're going to have to write them off, damage them out. And I had that happen somewhere to the tune of thousands of dollars of merchandise.
Was that ever a discussion when your results maybe weren't where they were supposed to be?
I went back. I actually went back and showed them all the money that we spent on the damaged product and all the money we spent on a temp AC, which didn't work very well, and the money that we potentially lost in like the 3 months of summer from clients like leaving or like not buying things or not being able to buy it because it was damaged out. So like it doesn't exist anymore. Um, and was basically like, I know that getting new AC units, you said would probably cost 80 to $100,000. We've already spent that. Without spending it, we've already spent it. And the thing is, though, is we've already spent it, and summer is going to happen again next year. The 100,000 you'd have to spend would be like a one-time deal. And here's the thing: I understand P&Ls because I worked for a small coffee brand where I built the P&L from scratch.
Mhm.
So I understand how this works. You just put it under a depreciation line. You're not even paying for it 100,000 in 1 month. You're going to break it up over like 3 or 4 years and do some like questionable accounting, like all places do, and pay for it over time. Like you're Klarna-ing me a new AC. So just do that. And here's the thing: I'll always die on this hill. Do that and then hold me as a store manager responsible for still getting you through the profitability and the contribution that you're looking for. I'll make it happen.
Right.
But don't tell me it's not possible, because it is.
Yeah. How was that received?
The issue, I think, is that in a lot of companies, facilities specifically is a slim team who also lacks a lot of control because they have a budget and they have to. So, something that big of an investment, at that point, it would probably fall under the category of like a mini renovation. Even though it's not technically a renovation, the dollar amount would make it be under that category, which is like a separate level of someone authorizing it and involves more people. So at that point, it doesn't matter what my argument is or how much data I have.
Right.
Now we're into the bureaucracy mess of
Yep.
several facilities people, finance people, higher level field leadership like VPs or regionals or maybe presidents. It kind of depends on what the investment is and what a typical store spends. Because I know, allow me to get on my high horse for like 2 seconds. Um, this is the thing that bothers me sometimes in retail. I've been in retail for 20 years. You cannot lie to me about how these things work. So, like, when a company comes back and they're like, well, it's just not like I'm explaining to you right now here on this podcast that I understand. I do understand. I still, though, think there's no excuse. Like, I understand. I get the bureaucracy. I understand that $100,000 counts as a mini renovation because I'm assuming anything over maybe like 10 to 20K, depending on the business, is probably considered like a different type of investment, which is why, at companies when I've had to get like the door fixed or something, a new door is expensive or new glass is expensive. Someone else probably didn't get something in their store because I needed a new door. Like a new door was necessary. I understand that you're just moving money around like a bad game of Monopoly. I get all that. But there's like a lot of facets of retail. It's like we're thinking in quarters, we're thinking in maybe the year, but we're not thinking beyond the fiscal year. So you'll hear things like, well, maybe in fiscal 27, when we reallocate the budgets, we can look at getting a new AC. But it's like, yeah, but I, Matthew James Copeland, am not going to be sitting in that room able to advocate for myself and my store when you go over the budgets. And I don't trust any of you chuckleheads to be doing that either, because the facilities budget is managed, in my opinion, the same way the payroll budget is managed. What is the smallest amount of money we can spend on this line item and get away with it? We don't look at facilities as an investment in customer satisfaction or employee satisfaction. We look at it as like, we just need to keep this house alive as long as possible, but we're not investing in it. So it's like, I don't trust you to advocate in the next year budget. You're going to kick the can down the road, and then next summer, I'm going to be hot again, and then we're going to do all this. And I know this because I've been through this before. Like, you can't kid a kidder.
So first, it's frustrating for me to hear. It's mind-blowing that facilities doesn't connect their role to anything customer experience. What? How? That's where the customer experience is, no? Like, what am I missing here? So I feel like that's wild, but I get it because I've seen it. Like, I've seen how removed people in corporate offices feel, how disconnected they feel from stores. And anything cross-functional, I feel like, especially in a large corporation, is such a battle, such a bureaucratic battle that it really blows my mind. I actually feel like it's the source of a lot of the issues that you have to deal with. The results, though, of that thing, of losing that product, of losing those sales, were you in trouble for
No.
either not meeting? No.
I wasn't in trouble with, well, I was in trouble with my employees and my customers. Because then you're answering to your employees who are coming in uncomfortable. And just so we're clear, it's the same thing, because we've talked about this HVAC thing. So I want to also make sure that I'm clear. It's the same thing when quality and products change, right?
Yeah.
Because now your employees don't believe in it. And now you have to hopefully get them to believe in it. Or maybe they'll do that thing. And I've had employees say this to me, Matt, I like my job. I'm going to sell the thing still, but I don't like it. I'm never going to buy it myself. I don't believe in it. And I won't say anything to a customer. But if they ask me, I'm going to say I don't like the new formula or the new stitch or whatever. I'm going to be honest because I'm not going to lie. And I don't like my employees lying to customers, so I'm totally fine with that. But there have been a lot of instances, and it's the same thing with HVAC. We're talking about two things that are the same umbrella issue, where employees will get to a point and they're like, if a customer asks me like what we're doing about it, I'm just going to be like, oh, they don't care. But it's that same thing where you are the face of the brand. And it's so funny how often we talk about things that are like brand damaging. And because it's funny, I can't believe I'm going to admit this because I'm sure sometimes in this podcast, I think, wow, this is like just an aside. I think, wow, people, maybe some high-level VP will hear me talk and be like, wow, I want that guy. He sounds like he really understands the business. And then other times I say things and I go, well, this is getting me blacklisted from every company that I could ever want to work for. Because when I was in one of those situations, because I understand how everything works and connects together, I'm able to often use that to my advantage sometimes. And sometimes it's in a way that it's just using the system that I'm in against itself. Because when I was in that situation where we were damaging out product, someone came in and they were like younger and they were like, this is crazy. Like, I like whatever. And then she like said something about TikTok and I literally was like, make a TikTok video. Do you want to look at over here? Look at this product that's like already like melting. Take a video. Go ahead, post it on TikTok. Tag us. Like, This is the address we're at. And it didn't go viral or anything, but it did make its way back somewhere to the thing because one of our like executives was like, so, you know, we really just want to make sure that clients understand that we're like working on the whatever. And I go, but we aren't. But we aren't. Like you can lie to the clients all you want, but you can't lie to me. I'm standing here every day sweating like crazy. And even though that TikTok didn't like result in anything, like when you get desperate enough, uncomfortable enough, disillusioned enough, you're like, well, I'm gonna use whatever tools at my disposal to hopefully improve the situation because what is the alternative? And I'll tell you what the alternative is. Notice how I'm not telling you that I currently work at this place. That's the alternative, is that eventually, because also as a leader, I don't like being a liar and I don't like lying to my team or even, you know, trying to get them to buy into something that I don't believe in anymore. Because that takes a lot of energy. It's exhausting. I wish I was like that. Honestly, it'd be much easier. I probably would be a VP by now if I could just be like, I really believe in the corporate culture and everything we do is amazing. Like, I probably would be a lot higher than a store leader, but I just don't have it in me. So sorry. Um, and so eventually it's like you go through enough of that and you're like, okay, wow, we're not going to fix this issue. And just so we're clear, because I needed to do this, the following summer when I did not work at that brand, I walked into the store, to a very hot, uncomfortable store. And I went, it's still happening. And by the way, we're heading into summer. I'm probably going to do it again, if for nothing else than to just make myself feel good about leaving.
Let's talk about product quality, because one of the things that made me want to talk to you about this was actually something you said in a previous episode, which I will drop in a clip here.
Like, one of my pet peeves is they act like every client wants the same level of service. They make it seem like every customer is just going to play the improv game with you, and they're not. Sometimes they throw you for a loop and they're like, well, I used to buy these khakis, but now the quality sucks. So I'm just making sure that, nope, it still feels like they suck. You didn't go back to the old ones. And I'm not saying you need to make that video, but if you did, I'm watching it. Because how do I respond to that? Teach me. If customer service is so easy, please make a video.
And it made me actually want to know the answer to that question. How do you respond to that?
I think it's interesting too that you're talking about the corporate videos, because now that you're saying it, I wish I said this on that episode, but those are the scenarios we need videos on. But instead, we actually get like a paragraph of like, clients may notice that we've switched from a blah 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 stitch to a blah 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 stitch, and it's made it more flexible, but also could make it more whatever. Here's how you explain that to the thing. No, that's where I want a video. And the video I want, by the way, is not where the customer is nice. This is the thing about training videos. And I wish I said this in that episode, but can't go back in time here. But I wish that some of the videos were made with an irate client. And they're almost never, and if they are made with an irate client, it's like, here's de-escalation training. But not everything is like de-escalation necessary. It's just we can't de-escalate without the right words and without the right things. And I'm telling you, if someone's screaming at me, I'm throwing the company under the bus if I have to. Yeah. That's how I'm de-escalating. And trust me, it works. If I just go, yep, we're probably just saving money, and that's why. Then they're like, ugh. Everywhere you go, because anything else I say, they're not taking because they can feel the product. They're not stupid. There was, luckily for me at Williams-Sonoma, you know, you have a whole slew of brands that you're selling. There were a few products, one in particular, I kept out back. It was a coffee maker. It wasn't even on display. And I remember getting a visit and someone asking me about it because they were like, you're missing this from the display. And I go, I will not sell that. And I literally and I want you to know, I'm just being honest with you. I tell clients when they come in asking for it, I go, I have them. I will sell them to you. I will not return it. I do not believe in it. I think it is a bad product. And if you buy it, you are buying at your own risk. because I wanted to make it clear, I do not believe in this. I do not want to deal with you in 30 days when you realize the piece of crap you bought. And then it was so funny because I remember one woman being like, then why does Williams Sonoma sell it? And I go, because we are at a place in our economy and our world where people just want affordability sometimes over a product that works. But also, I was able to explain rationally, like, we just got to keep it around for the price point because some people just want this price point and they don't care what I say. They're going to buy it anyway, in which, good luck. But when it's a product your company makes, and again, that's why I go back to the Starbucks thing. When it's a single brand under an umbrella, I love when I can make it or be a part of the process, or I just have to really believe in it and believe that the company is doing the right thing. Because otherwise, as an employee, you're really at the whim of like, if they change it. And to go back to your original question, how do you deal with this? There's no good way. I don't have an answer for you because that conversation sucks. And actually, employees, when something changes, a formula, a stitch, whatever the thing is, and we see the new thing, employees often are like, almost like not fully breathing because you're like waiting for the first client that's going to notice and you're dreading having that conversation.
Right.
Because you're like, okay, they're going to notice. What are we going to say? And even if you have the verbiage provided, and a lot of companies do provide it,
Okay.
that verbiage isn't good enough. Like, it's just not, there's no words for we got cheap. So sorry.
Tell me about the verb, because that was going to be my next question was, do you get context? Do you get a reason? And do you believe it?
I would actually argue a lot of companies give you a reason. You never believe it. Because they always frame it, in my opinion, they frame it in, we've changed this things due to feedback about the thing. But that maybe some of that's true. Maybe they did get feedback, but they changed it to a cheaper alternative.
Right.
And the example I gave about jeans was not a fake one. Cotton is more expensive than elastane, okay? Cotton is way more expensive than your stretchy, bad for the environment, it ends up on a beach in Ghana elastane, okay? So because the verbiage we got somewhere was literally, we have found that customers prefer more stretch in the thigh and the whatever areas of the jean. And now we're going from, I forget what it was, 2% elastane to like 6 or something, whatever it was. And it was framed in like, if clients ask, say that this is for a more comfortable feel and that, yes, they may have to go down a size for it to fit the same as the old ones, but it will be more flexible and movable and breathable. And that was like the verbiage. And it's like, girl, don't be lying. Like, you went up 4% in elastane because that's like pennies on the dollar. I can only imagine the maybe millions of dollars you're saving in all the denim that we sell. And I'm sure maybe some clients did complain about fit. I'm sure that that's accurate. But they complained about fit and you heard, here's our opportunity to change it to something cheaper. It's the same thing when I worked at a beauty brand that changed a formula for like a lotion. And it was like basically more watery. And they were like, and we did this so that it has like a better like skin feel and absorbs faster. Yeah, because it's water. And it's like, and clients aren't stupid. They're going to be like, water. And so you do get the verbiage, but it's very rare that you believe it. I have seen the opposite occur where something is changed for the better, but that is few and far between.
I was going to ask that. How about, let's talk about the Elastin. Because for me, like, I'm thinking of the opposite. I'm thinking, let's say, because I I love a stretchy jean. Like, I do think I love a soft, stretchy denim. But if, and this is just me, if I were a customer and I went in to buy a new pair of my favorite jeans, which I expect to be stretchy, and they were less stretchy, and I asked the associate about it, and they said, yeah, we actually reduced the amount of elastin because it is so detrimental to the environment. I would be 100% okay with that. Like, I would be on board with that change. I would sacrifice my whatever. So I guess what I'm asking is, does the context ever feel noble?
Let me just tell you a little secret, folks. When your company, this is for store managers, when your company, I'm going to hold the mic, when your company comes to you and is like, oh my God, we're changing the thing, it's amazing, I want you to hop onto the very next investor call, which is a public call that anyone can join. And I want you to hear about what they say about that same initiative, because that is the truth of why the thing changed. And that is where you will find out the green initiative, the people, all the things we care about. They're going to turn around to investors and they're going to say, we changed this thing and we're saving $3 million, which is why we're changing our forecast for fiscal 2028 to now be this much and blah, blah, blah. And then the stock price goes up. And I want you to ask yourself, who do you believe they are telling the truth to? It's not us.
Damn. So how, like, how do I, oh. All right, back to being the face of the problem. These situations, decisions, I'll say, not even necessarily problems, but you are the folks, you're the front line. Quite literally, that's what that means. You are the people who deal with the customers every day. Tell me more about their reactions to something like a changed product quality. Tell me more about, like, do they get mad at you, today and in this day and age? Are they aware that these are decisions that probably aren't on your desk? How does it go?
You know what's funny? Obviously, people realize it's not us, right? Because
Yeah.
we're not a mom and pop shop. I'm not sewing out back. No one wants me to sew anything.
Right.
But people still do get mad at us, even though they know it's not us. Because I think when you're upset about something, like just on a psychological level, like you're upset. So you're not thinking about who deserves your ire. You're just mad. And so the person standing in front of you is just who gets to receive your anger. And so people do get mad. And then they say this to us often, which I find so fascinating, because I wish I could say to customers, you think they care what I think? Because it's almost always followed by a, like, whether you agree or disagree, right? Like, even if you stay as neutral as you can, because I think that's often the solution, by the way, which I did not say before. The best solution is to be like, almost be like, yeah, we changed, and, some people like the change, which is almost always true, by the way. There's always someone who actually does like the new formula, the new denim, whatever. I guess it's you. No. But so there's always someone. So staying neutral allows them to just like vent. Doesn't really escalate the situation, because I'll tell you right now, what can escalate the situation is us using your verbiage. Because then they're like, stop gaslighting me. So staying neutral, but then you stay neutral, you let them vent, and then they come down, right? Like they kind of reach, like they realize how ridiculous they're being over a body lotion. Like it's not the end of the world. But before I say what I'm going to say, at this point in 2026, I think a lot of people are just so frustrated and disappointed because this keeps happening across every industry, across every brand, right? A new sneaker company comes out, they're amazing, they make the best sneakers you've ever heard, everyone buys the sneaker, they become really popular, they open a bunch of stores, they cheapen the product because now they're at the pressure of shareholders and margin because they need to do endless growth because growth because we're in this like capitalist hellscape that we're in, where we got to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow, and there's no end in sight. And the only way to do that is to make more money or cut more costs. And they grow more money, they cut more costs, they cut more costs, and people get mad. And now they have to go find a new shoe brand that actually still cares about the quality. No one's making a quality thing and then just staying with that quality thing and never sacrificing the quality. I could probably name like maybe 2 brands across every single category of retail. One of them, by the way, La Creuset pots. Everyone go buy a La Creuset. They haven't changed, probably because they're made in Europe, and Europeans are like, we don't care. We're just going to make our pots and whatever. Great product. Worth all $400 for every pot that I own. But so what that customer then says to you in that moment is, well, have you told them people are upset? Like, you should tell them. And then they like look at us like, I'm going to leave a review. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, and I will get in trouble for that review, which I've actually said to clients.
Yes.
I will get in trouble for not managing this situation we're having better to make you not leave a bad review. Leaving the bad review, not going to do what you think it's going to do. Call corporate. Tell them you're upset, not going to do what you think it's going to do. The only way to do that and protect all retail employees would be to email corporate and be like, and put no face to it. Be like, I bought your product online and it's not the same product I've always bought. It's different. Like, don't put an employee in there at all, because whatever employee you put in there is getting sacrificed at the altar of that experience.
Okay, this I feel like is the heart of the problem. Like, this is really what I was having trouble articulating when just thinking about this episode. Like, a bad product review will get you in trouble, even though you have no control over necessarily the product quality. Like, explain that to me. They'll just be mad that you didn't convince them the product is still better or good.
Yes. Because a lot of places are tell you, right? It's a lie, by the way, which is like, we want everyone to leave happy, and you have the power to do that. Mm-hmm. And so, sure, but then you've also given me all these constraints, right? Like, there's a return policy I have to follow. There's a way I have to do certain thing. I can't give discounts. Also, I can't change the product. So it's like, there's all these constraints to that. So some people, I mean, this is unrelated to the product thing and hot take, so that we can, maybe Bekki can come up with an episode idea for this. Sometimes you just have to let people leave angry and take the bad review and let it be okay. Like, I don't think retail's goal of everyone should always be happy and we're afraid of TikToks and like whatever should be the goal of anything. I actually think it leads to mediocre service, mediocre products, more scripted things, more just blandness. Like, we're just choosing bland and safe over everything. Side tangent. But so yes, when a bad review is left, the expectation was, so that lady was angry, tell me about it. And you're like, okay, so she was upset because we changed the denim, but did you tell her about the more stretch and the better fit? And it's like, I did, but this woman is an almond yoga mom and she wants her 100% cotton, and we no longer make anything that's 100% cotton, and she's upset that we're like putting microplastics into the earth. And then you get this almost like incredulousness of like, as if the person you just said isn't real. That's what I've experienced a lot. Like, almost like I'm making an excuse when I'm telling you I was just dealing with someone who has really high standards. Like, as if you're mad that not every customer can be fooled, or that people have their own expectations for products. Because then sometimes that conversation flips into, and I've mentioned this several times, if you could figure out an episode, it would make me so happy, because I don't know how to articulate it. That's where you come in. Every company has an ego, and a lot of people buy into the ego. I've never been able to like articulate this well enough, but that's where the company ego then starts to take over that person's brain, and they're like, well, good luck at them finding, all cotton denim, that blah, blah, blah. First of all, it is 2026. There are millions of brands that make every single product. No retailer is special. Your product isn't special. What makes us special could be the product. That is like one of the things, but it's our values. It's how we treat people. That's how we differentiate because that is hard to replicate. That is actually quite rare. But product, stop acting like they can't find what they want somewhere else. They sure can. And so that's where that conversation tips. But then you still sometimes get this little glib at the end, like, well, in the future, like, also just see if maybe there's maybe there's like an all cotton top we still sell that she could like, you know what I mean? Like as if to be like, well, we disappointed you here, but here's this other thing.
Maybe wrap this around your like butt
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
where this is
If you
pants that you actually need.
if you put your legs through the sleeves, this could work. You could be creating a moment here.
That's wild and disappointing, quite frankly. Okay, as we start to wrap up, can you tell me a bit about the timeline? Because you talked about how, look, you'll toe the company line, you'll stay positive to a point. What does that look like? When does it start to become, look, you obviously actually don't care about the customer experience or our ability to provide a good customer experience?
That is not an easy answer because I think oftentimes it's like a death by a thousand paper cuts.
Yeah.
It's never, I think the HVAC examples I've used are good to use because they're so extreme. And I think that timeline is much shorter because now everyone's just physically uncomfortable, right? Like there's a physical discomfort. So that timeline could be, honestly, it could be weeks. I mean, it could be a month and I could go from like, I work for the best brand in the world to, wow, they really don't care about me at all. Like it could be weeks, not days. We'll give them weeks, but it's definitely, it's not months, it's weeks. When it comes to product changes and quality, that timeline is actually really long. Really long because I think sometimes companies change things and you just write it off as a one-off, right? You're like, because I also think when it comes to like the beauty industry, right? That's a really specific industry. There's so many random ingredients that are illegal in California, in Europe, in whatever. So sometimes reformulations are like, okay, we had to do this because we want to branch out in this new market. So you kind of write it off as like, okay, it's just one product. It's one facial moisturizer. It's one hand soap. It's one bath bomb, whatever it is. But then you get to so many things, and again, same thing with the denim, right? They change like the core staple denim that's like the number one seller, and that's the only thing they really change. Yeah, they probably did save a lot of money, and that may be the reason. But if you try them on, and you like them, you can kind of just be like, you know what? Vibes, this is great. And a lot of times that does happen in retail where something changes. And the first step is, by the way, this is for store managers as well. If you're facing this and you don't believe in something, I highly suggest you find someone on your team who likes the change and let them be the leader in this moment. You do not have to be the leader at every moment. Delegate the passion of the reformulation of the new denim to the employee who actually likes the change, because they will get to change their peers' minds much faster than you will with the company jargon. Because at Old Navy, I remember we did change something once with denim. It wasn't the example I used. I pretty much made that up. But when they changed it, we had like a fit session where we all like tried on the denim and like saw whatever. And like it was pretty split 50-50. But the people who loved it were like, what do you mean you don't love it? Like, yeah. I can never wear this fit because like the waist doesn't fit the same as like my butt and my thighs, and now everything works. And so it's like, find those people, let them be the champions of the new thing to clients and their peers. But yeah, so as far as timeline goes, if that happens and half your employees love it, you're like, okay, okay, I don't love it. Okay, maybe it's personal. Then another thing changes, maybe still 50%. But now you're on to the third change, and now only a quarter of the employees like it. And maybe you've lost some of those like legacy employees that had been around for like 8 to 10 years that loved the old stuff. And by the time you're there witnessing changes, they're like, wow, the company I started with has nothing to do with the company that it is now.
Right.
And so for them, but again, I think timelines are personal, right? Our own tolerance for change and for what a company evolves into is different. Because I also think this is where I've said this 1,000 times to you. What motivates people to work places is the most important thing. Figure that out, and everything else will be solvable, fixable, and knowable. And it's like, if I work for a company because of product quality, my timeline for how much product change I'll deal with, much shorter than the person who works there because they're green or they like the values around people, because they might look at some of the changes as better for people or better for the environment. And actually, their loyalty and their love for the brand is actually now even deeper and richer. So it really, what is the motivator? And do these product changes tap into that, or do they pull away from it? So I think that's a really personal question that every single person would answer differently to, depending on their circumstances.
That's a really it's really great advice. I really like the idea of having your team lead the narrative in terms of why something is better. And it also invites empathy for people who maybe had an issue with the product before. I think that's great. Uh, if I could summarize, the pattern we're talking about is corporate decision has an impact on stores, which impacts customer reaction and experience, which impacts store results and accountability. Something interesting that kind of just came up in the last little bit you were talking about was it wasn't even about control necessarily. It's not like it didn't sound like you needed to have control over these decisions to get behind them, but there had to be some kind of values alignment. Like you had to believe in them. It should serve some kind of value that the company has. It's proof. It's a trust builder or eroder. All that to say, my question, which is really open-ended to leave with corporate retail leaders, is where are you asking stores to stand behind outcomes they don't have the power to change or the power to accommodate, the power to resolve? And is that fair? Are you serving the business? Are you being store centric? Are you setting them up for success? Any other final thoughts, Matt?
My final thoughts is to those same people, except I don't have a question. I have a demand. It's not even a demand. It's more something to think about doing, which is Old Navy did it in tidbits, which I actually think was genius, which is if you want, I've said this again, evergreen statement by Matt here, there's a pattern. I keep asking corporate leaders and higher ups to communicate things before the decision is made. Let us know about the process. Let us know about the why. I guarantee you, you want 100% buy-in before you change that denim or as you're changing that denim. Have a little on your little intranet, however you communicate those things, have some behind the scenes. First of all, people love behind the scenes. They feel like they're getting juicy gossip. Give us behind the scenes. And Old Navy did this at store leadership conferences, and it was genius, which is we would meet with the product development team, and they would tell us about changes they were thinking about making to certain denim and why, and the technology that was required to make it happen, and new denim, because technology also applies to fashion and clothing. And they would be like, and we're doing this with denim, and we figured out a way to distress it that's less whatever and won't break down. And then they're showing you behind the scenes. And then, of course, a year and a half later, you finally see it launch. And you're like, oh my God, yeah, this is that thing you told us about that was coming. And you have a buy-in because you got to see the story unfold. It didn't just randomly land in your lap with some, we promise we use the best technology and people. And, we saw the behind the scenes. So like, don't be afraid to tell us something before there's an official product outcome. Let us know. One of the things we're thinking about working on is a new development formula for the body lotion. And then show us, because I know this happens, show the product development teams trying both on and being like, so this is the old one and this is the new one, but we haven't quite got the formula right because this one's actually too watery, so we have to go back. Now you've intrigued me. You've roped me into the brand story in a way that is invaluable. It's like worth your weight in gold. And now when a change comes, not only am I not surprised, I knew it was coming. I'm already bought in. You don't even have to give me the verbiage anymore because I can actually share with the client the full story. And so my last statement in this is we keep undervaluing in retail the beauty, the art, and the importance of storytelling, both for our employees and for our customers. And if you really do believe that you're values driven and that there is a story, and I do think most brands think that they are that, you're not sharing it well enough, which is why you have to fake it and supplement it with like verbiage and corporate jargon, because we don't know the story well enough. We should know this. If I am the face of the brand, hi, hello, my name is Matt, I am the store manager, I shouldn't just understand the story based on my onboarding and my e-learnings. I should feel the story, live the story, know the story, understand the backstory to the story, and really every change you make, I'm already bought in because I have the bigger view. So to those corporate people, you can't share too much. More information will only help the field teams. And then we won't even have this issue where clients are coming in upset because we will have known the changes coming. We will know the why. We will be bought into it already. And we can share those anecdotes with customers. We're like, oh my God, we saw this funny video with our product development team and they tried on a lotion and like whatever. But then they landed on this and like, did you try it though? Did you give it a chance? Because if you try it, you're going to realize like it might seem thinner and cheaper, but actually like the absorbency is much better and you're not as greasy. Like, do you remember how you were like a little greasy with the other one? Now you don't have that. And even if they did save money and that is part of the story behind the scenes, we're not leading with that or thinking that that's the main thing because you've given us all the other context. That was a long final thought, but that's been rolling around in my mind this whole time. Just give us the story and everything figures itself out.
It sounds like it changes the complete situation from feeling like being the face of a problem that you have no control over to being a true brand ambassador.
Yes,
like
exactly.
Interesting. Context is everything. All right. Thanks as always, Matt.
Thank you.
You're listening to Dear Corporate, Love Stores.